Hey everyone, my name is Josh. This is part 6 of the Cedar strip kayak build. In the last video, we finished all of the strips on the deck of the boat. In this video, we'll start the long process of sanding. Now, before we can start sanding the boats, we're going to use the scraper, like you saw in the last video, along with a plane to even out the face of the boats so that it'll be easier to sand them. Once we're done that, we can use these longboards to sand a lot of the boat at once because of the amount of sandpaper that's sitting on a single longboard. These longboards come in two different sizes, one long and one short. We built them ourselves. And for any spots that we can't hit with the longboards, we'll use this sanding block. Now, we start with 60 grit sandpaper, which is a coarser grade of sandpaper. And we also will be using an orbital sander on 60 grit to smooth out any other areas that we might not be able to hit with any of these. The only problem with the orbital sander, though, is that it causes a bit of a circular pattern on the boats, which we'll need to sand down with these other three parts. Once we're done with the 60 grit sandpaper, then we can move on to an 80 grit sandpaper, which is a coarser grade of sandpaper, or a finer grade of sandpaper, and we can use that to make the boat feel even smoother. Now, if you missed any of our other videos before this one, make sure you check out the link to the full build playlist in the description below. Now, without further ado, let's get sanding. Alright, so we finished sanding with a 60 grit and 80 grit sandpaper. Now, we can break the hot glue between the forms and the deck of the boat, just like we did with the hull, and clean off any excess hot glue or white glue that might be left sticking to the forms. Once those are cleaned off, we can put the boat back on the forms and spray it with a thin coat of water, which will cause the boats to swell so that any white glue that we didn't get sanded off will become more accented so that we can see it and sand it off. And then, once we're done that, we can sand the entire boat with 100 grit sandpaper, which is even finer than the 80 grit. And that will bring the boats as smooth as we want them to be before we start fiberglassing. Let's do it. Alright, so we did all of the sanding on the outside of the strips. And it is quite the workout. Now, I'm actually kind of surprised that we got it done this fast. I expected it to take a lot longer. But I'm glad that it's done. In the next video, we will apply the fiberglass and epoxy to the outside of the boat, which will support the structural integrity of the boat. And then we can sand the epoxy and add another coat and repeat the process again and again. And once we have all of the epoxy coats done on the outside of the boat, we can start the entire scraping and sanding process again on the inside. Yay. For now though, be sure to like this video and subscribe so that it reaches more people. And again, if you missed any of the previous videos, be sure to check out the playlist link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.